Okay, to start setting up your very first calendar within the platform, once you've logged into your accounts and you're here on the dashboard, go ahead and click on Calendars here in the side left toolbar, and this will open up the Calendars feature within the platform. Now, if you do not have a calendar set up already, this will show a message saying no calendar found, and be prompting us to go to calendar settings to create our first calendar. So let's go ahead and do so right now. Once we've selected this, it's going to open up the back-end calendar settings, and you'll see the toolbar here on the left-hand side is now changed to our settings toolbar. And it's going to give us an option to create a new calendar. We have an option here to create a new calendar, as well as in the top right to create a calendar. If you have created calendars previously, this will display as a list of calendars that have already been created, and this message will not show in this section. So if there are already calendars created, to create a calendar, click on the right side button here, create a calendar. However, for the purpose of this tutorial, this should be our first calendar that we are creating. So we're going to select new calendar. This is now going to prompt us to select 4 different choices of calendars that we can choose. These all come with different settings and different purposes of why we would create these different types of calendars. For the purposes of this tutorial, we're going to click personal booking. However, we also have round robin, class bookings, and collective bookings, and each description describes each of these different options of calendars and why they may be appropriate for those type of scenarios. Coming up in the near future, we'll have video tutorials describing each one of these calendars and also showing them in real time how they work. But for the purposes of this tutorial, we're going to select personal booking and move forward with a one-on-one meeting with specific team members, such as client meetings and private consultations. So let's select on personal booking, and it's going to open up a new tab asking us to fill in some information. So what we want to do is go to advanced settings and really start setting up our calendar from the advanced settings. However, if I click on this, it's going to prompt me to fill in this information anyway. So go ahead and fill in this information. So once you've filled in the information and you've selected the calendar name, the team members, the custom URL, the meeting duration, and the booking availability, now we can select advanced settings, and this is going to bring us the advanced settings in the back end of our calendar and really customize and set up our calendar specifically to our business and our branding. So to start with, we're going to have meeting details. So this is where we can customize the details of the meeting, such as the calendar logo, the calendar name, description, the group, the custom URL, the meeting invite title, as well as the team members associated with this calendar and event colors. So go ahead and fill in all this information, such as the description, and we'll move on to the next tab. Once you've filled in the information, click on availability, and this will bring you onto the new tab of availability. Now, availability will allow us to essentially customize our weekly available hours, as well as a couple other settings here, which we're going to get to in just a moment. So to customize your weekly available hours, go ahead and click on the time slot of the day of the week that you want to change. For most people, this will be 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., which will be set as default. But let's say maybe you want to change this to 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. So this will now change Monday to 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. as the bookable times of which our prospects and customers will be allowed to book on our calendar. If you want to copy these settings to all the other days of the week, you can click on this copy button here, and then go ahead and select the days of the week that we want to change this to. Click apply, and those settings will be applied. If you want to open up your calendar for, let's say, the weekends, so let's say you want to take bookings on a Saturday, go ahead and click on the checkbox on Saturday, and this will open up the calendar for that day of the week. And if we want to select date specific hours, we can go ahead and click on add date specific hours and select that day of the week, let's say in this case Monday, and then we would select the bin icon here, and we would delete this saying unavailable. Next, click submit, and now the Monday, September the 30th, will now display on our calendar as unavailable. However, every Monday following this will default then back to the 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. hours. And then finally, we have a couple features down here, such as meeting interval. This is the time between meetings. You also have meeting duration. This is the duration of the meetings that are being booked. Minimal scheduling notice, which is the minimum time a prospect needs to give in order to book. You can do this by days, hours, weeks, and months. A lot of people might select, let's say, 1 day, so 24 hours. A date range of how long people can book a calendar for. So let's say we select this as 10 days. This will mean that a prospect will not be allowed to book in a date or an event after 10 days of appearing on the calendar. So they cannot book further than 10 days of what day they're viewing on the calendar that day. We also have maximum bookings per day. So if you leave this blank, it will just allow you to book as many slots that appear on the calendar as physically possible. However, if you'd like to restrict this to, let's say, maybe 3 bookings per day, you can do so in here as well. You can also select maximum bookings per time slot per user. Now, please bear in mind, this is only for multiple user calendars. So if this is a calendar where there's just one user on the calendar, let's say you, then please keep this as 1. However, if this is a calendar where, let's say, 2 or 3 people or even a whole sales team are active on this calendar, you can select the maximum bookings per time slot to the number of team members. This will mean that all team members can then attend meetings all at once, separate meetings all at once with separate prospects. For the case of this tutorial, we're going to leave this as 1. So please, if this is your scenario and this is just a calendar for you, make sure to leave this as 1 to avoid double bookings. Next, we have pre-buffer and post-buffer time. So essentially what buffer time is a section of time allotted to either before or after the event to give you either time to prepare or time to wrap up the meeting. So for example, if you need 10 minutes before every meeting to set up, and this is a given, you know you need time to set up and prepare for every meeting and you need 10 minutes, you can go ahead and select this, and this will add 10 minutes specifically to your calendar, prompting you to set up before the meeting even starts. Post buffer time is time that you can allot to meetings so that you can avoid overbookings or cross bookings if you know that meetings tend to go over the general 60 minutes. For example, if you know that 1 in every 4 meetings generally goes over by 20 minutes, you can select 20 meetings in this, and this will allot 20 minutes at the end of every meeting just to make up for that time and ensure that there's no cross bookings or overbookings. Finally, once you're happy with all these settings, go ahead and click on forms and payments. Now in here, we can select the form of what the prospect is going to fill in to book the meeting. If you'd like to select a custom form and pull custom information from your calendar forms, please go ahead and view the how to create a form tutorial. And then once you have done so, please revert back to this tutorial and that form will then be live in this drop down menu. For the purpose of this tutorial, we're going to leave this as default. And then we're going to have first name, last name, email, phone, and notes. You can also select the widget order. So if you'd like the date and time selected to be second, then you can do so by clicking and dragging. However, we're just going to leave this as is. And then we also have pre-populate fields, which is going to allow us to pre-populate the form fields if that prospect is already available in our database. You also have the consent checkbox. We recommend leaving this enabled as most regions in the world now have consent laws around the consent on user information and how this is used. So we recommend leaving this enabled and then giving a message or a confirmation message which is confirming that the contact gives permission for you to receive their information and receive content from your company using their information. And then finally, we have guests. So if you enable this feature, it's going to allow the contact or the prospect who's booking on the calendar to add another person to the meeting. Underneath this, then we have confirmation page. This can either be a confirmation thank you message, which we can customize in this text box here, or we can select a redirect URL. So if you'd like to send them to a custom URL, you can do so by entering that in here, or a confirmation message will prompt and appear once they've successfully booked in by selecting default and then customizing this thank you message. You can also fill in a Facebook pixel ID if you want to use this for Facebook ads and track the analytics in your ad dashboards in the Facebook ads. Go ahead and add your pixel ID into here and you can add that and track all analytics on the back end within your calendar. You can also then select auto confirm new calendar meetings. We recommend to leave this enabled. And finally, you can also take payments within your calendar. So once you've integrated a payment provider such as Stripe, for example, you will now unlock this feature to accept payments, allowing you to take payments before bookings come through. Once everything looks good on this, you can go ahead and click on notifications and additional options, and this will then allow us to customize the notifications that people receive on this event. So now, first off, we can select the type of notification. So to default, this is an acknowledgement email. If you'd like to create custom notifications, you need to create custom emails on the back end of the email platform. If you want to learn how to do this, please go ahead and view the tutorial of creating custom emails. And then once you've done that, please revert back to this tutorial, and then you'll be able to select that custom email in this drop-down menu here. Next is who should receive this notification. So by default, it's nobody, but we want to let the contact receive the notification. The guest who has been added to the calendar can also be received a notification. And the assigned user, so the person who owns the calendar or has been assigned the calendar, will also receive a notification if we enable that. If we'd like a third-party person to be enabled with the activity in this calendar, we can select additional emails and then put in the email of that person within this text box here. To put in multiple emails, just drop down a line and then type in a new email on the next line. This will then allow the software to identify both lines as separate emails, and then it will set a notification to both of these emails based off of the activity that goes on in this calendar. If you don't want this to be enabled, just deselect this box and leave it as disabled, and this won't be enabled. Next then is allow Google and Outlook Calendar to send invitation and update emails to attendees. Go ahead and leave this enabled. And then assign context to their respective calendar team members each time an appointment is booked. Go ahead and leave this enabled, and then skip assigning contact if the contact is already assigned a assigned user. Go ahead and enable this. Next then is cancellation and reschedule policy. So we can actually set expiration dates for our rescheduling and cancellation links. So if, let's say, we don't want a contact to cancel or reschedule any bookings before 60 minutes before the meeting starts, we can actually set that in here. If it's something you want to enable, go ahead and fill in the time in terms of minutes, hours, or days in this box here, or just go ahead and disable the features altogether. And then finally, we have additional notes. So if you'd like to send any additional notes in your invites, you can do so in here. So finally, we have customizations. Now this will allow us to customize the look and feel and ultimately the experience of our calendar when prospects are booking in on the front end. So to start with, we can actually input a calendar cover image in here. This will allow us to input a custom image, either a PNG, JPEG, or GIF file into here, and we can upload this on from our computer into our calendar. We can also set the widget style as either Neo or Classic is our more classical style, which has been used for many years. However, our Neo is our more modern style, which is becoming increasingly more popular and allows us to have more customization as well on the back end. So this Neo style, for the purpose of this tutorial, we will stick with Neo, will then allow us to set the primary color, the background color, as well as the button text and a couple other options down here, which we can change. Once you're happy with everything, you can actually preview your calendar by clicking on preview widget down here. And then finally, we can also input custom code into here. So if any custom code that you'd like to embed into your calendar, you can do so here. This could be tracking code. This could be anything from third-party software that you may need and want to input into this custom code section right here. Once you're happy with everything and all your settings have been set up, go ahead and click on the save button up here in the top right corner, and this will save all of the information on your calendar and begin creating your calendar in your account. So after you've clicked save, you'll now see the calendar created here on the back end of calendar settings on the list here of all the calendars that you have active. You can then edit this calendar by clicking on the three dots here, and then you can either delete it, deactivate it, duplicate it, or edit it, or much more. If you'd like to share the calendar manually, you can go ahead and copy the scheduling link as well as a permanent link. You can select a one-time link in here by clicking one-time link and copy. You can also generate new links every single time. You can also embed this directly onto web pages with this embed code by clicking copy and then copy and pasting this embed code to any websites, funnels. And if we head back out of the back-end settings of our calendars and we want to go back to the front-end calendars feature, go ahead and click on go back up here on the top left corner. And this is going to bring us to calendars feature again, which we originally went to when we started this tutorial. Now this calendar section looks a little bit different. It's actually showing us our calendar of our accounts inside of the software. We can view different views of this by going ahead and clicking on the day view, the week view, or the month view. If we click on the month view, we can see every day of the month. And once we start to have events booked in on these days of the month, we'll see these populate on each day of each month. And then finally, if you'd like to revisit your calendar settings by going back into the calendars feature, every time you want to revisit those settings, just click on calendar settings up here in the top toolbar, and this will bring us to the calendar settings in the back end and allow us to manage all of our previously created calendars inside of the back end here. So I hope this tutorial helps and shows you how to create a calendar inside of our software and shows you exactly the extensiveness and the advanced features of our calendars and how much flexibility and customization you can make inside of your calendars and your booking process. If you have any questions whatsoever, please feel free to reach out to our team and we'll be more than happy to help.